There's Tim.
I think we're gonna officially start the meeting and then we want you to be on the record, so
Yeah.
we're gonna do that. And may I just say to the family of the gentleman, truly, I think you might be surprised as to how I feel about the zoning draft. So I don't think it is fair to assume that anybody has a certain opinion about anything that's going on right now. That's all I have to say about that. I mean, I didn't have an opportunity. It's not my job to debate when I'm being spoken to like that, but my only comment is that you don't know me. And you might be surprised.
Catherine, has a meeting begun? Has the meeting begun?
No, the meeting
It
is,
unofficially began.
yeah, so we're gonna start it now, Tim. I really, yeah, I wanna get this started off right. So it looks like it's just 7 o'clock. We had one in the wait, okay.
Is Cal here? Is Cal here?
Yeah, he's standing over here by the door.
Hi, Cal.
Yeah, he's here, so great.
So
So,
is that by design, want to be quick to leave if necessary? Good.
all right, so welcome everybody to the February 9th Caroline Town Board meeting. Thank you for joining us either here at the town hall or by Zoom. And I just want to, we're going to have privileges of floor following. I just wanted to make a few comments on what everybody's aware of the zoning commission's work now. And I just want to clarify that this commission has been working over diligently, and they've been public meetings over most of 2021. And the excuse me, the draft that was recently posted for a meeting was a raw draft. And the zoning commission, it was put up for the meeting agenda for the zoning commission to work on. And so they haven't yet done that. They are going to be massaging that, working on that. And they did invite public input, but the origin of that document was basically as sort of a foundational document for the zoning commission to begin working on. And so it's not a finished product. It's not even a first product. It's a work in progress. So, and as you know, the zoning commission has invited comments from the public, and they are considering those, posting answers on the zoning commission's webpage on the town website. And they will continue to do that, but I do want to make clear that they have not yet even posted their first draft to present to the public. And when they do that, and as they do that, they will be holding public information sessions, which are different than a public hearing, which is a formal hearing before they consider whether it's what they want. So they did that in December as a preliminary thing. As you know, they had a webinar and then an in-person meeting at the Brookendale Fire Hall. And they are, part of their charge is to engage the public, keep the public informed and get public input. So they've been working really, really diligently on that. But I did talk to someone today who let me know that she was unaware that this was not something that's been presented basically for adoption, and it is clearly not that. It's at a very early stage, and they are now, as you saw, if you attended last night's meeting, they're working hard on it, and they will be continuing to do that. So I just wanted to clarify that at the outset. So,
Mark, when do you anticipate that the town board will vote on this?
So that's a good question, Kim, and I can't answer it because this is a process. So it depends on I mean, the zoning commission has to work through this to their satisfaction. And so it's like one step at a time. So I really, we did, you're probably aware, we established a moratorium to allow this work to take place while a freeze on development occurs. And we set that at 14 months, which was sort of the recommendation as based on our circumstances at the time. And that 14 months would go till next August 1st. But that's, you know, that was just, that was a guesstimate. And so that's, I don't think at this point we could say the town board is going to vote on it at any point, because we don't do that until the zoning commission passes it along to us formally.
So there'll be no building permits issued in the town until this coming August?
No, that's not true. So residential building permits are not affected by this. So I don't want to go into a back and forth, Kim. I want to open for
Sure.
privilege of the people that came.
Please, we'll
So,
start.
Pardon?
Salute the flag, then start the meeting.
Pardon me?
Could we salute the flag, please?
Sure. So, hang on. So, good. So. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great. Thank you. We'll begin privilege of the floor. Would you like to speak to the board?
I wrote something up, I don't bite and I don't get upset. But I did write something up that I'd like to read to you guys that I wrote. It says, in case any of you have forgotten, just let me remind you. Number one, the British Tea Party. Number two, the Revolution War. Number three, the Civil War. Number four, the British American War. And one thing that all these had in common was, so you and I had a right to freedom and liberty for all. I'm asking us all to think about whether we are undermining those values our forefathers fought and died for. Ask ourselves, is what I'm doing causing a division or unity? Our freedom rests on remembering our forefathers' past. I'm asking the zoning board to let it go. Enough is enough. You are not bringing unity to our town. You're bringing division. Please stop. So the reason that I wrote that, and I wasn't trying to be nasty in any way whatsoever.
That was not.
But the reason that I wrote that is because I'm 61. I've been down this road 3 other times with zoning going on, you know, trying to get the zoning in. And so there are a lot of questions that I have, but a lot of people have, like when you guys decided to go forward with zoning, was that public knowledge? Was that put out there for the people to come in and say, no, there's not going to be any zoning in this town, period? I mean, I don't see where any of that took place. I mean, you know, it is what it is at this point. But I think what happened was you guys opened up a can of worms in a rural area where some of these go back 200 years and when it was established. And I think the town board job in part, okay, is like running a business. If you lose your employees, you've lost your battle or you lost the war. And I think that the board's position really should be uniting the town under a common cause. This is not common, this is division. So I for that reason, I'm against it. And also I have property on Hartford Road that would directly affect me. And so therefore I'm kind of protective of that, but so it is what it is. But I think that we should, at this point now, I think we've gotten to a point where we have to listen to the public and the residents of the town, and may the majority win at this point. It's the majority. I also think that it should be opened up to people that are for zoning, because right now, that's one thing that's missing. That's a part of the puzzle that's missing. Is the fact is that you've got all these people, and there's a massive amount of us. I think there was probably 300 to 400 people out here yesterday, before you guys got here. But there was nobody that was for zoning. So it looks like it's really lopsided. And I think that everybody should, because of freedom and what our forefathers went through, everybody should have a right to speak their mind. And because of that, it's unfortunate, being through 3 of these already, that we even went down this road, because they should have known from the past what the turnout was going to be, and that it was going to cause a division in the town. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
So, thanks, Mark. What I heard is that you're concerned about the turmoil, the divisiveness in the town, and that you're concerned about your property and the effect on you. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Take that into consideration.
I'd
So, you.
That list.
Yeah.
I'm first on the list. If you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I just wrote this up real quick. It's nothing you guys don't really know, what, first, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity.
Mark, excuse me, Mark, could you please identify the speakers for the?
I'll identify myself, Tim, you know me. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for the opportunity to come up here to speak. Thank you. Please listen to what I have to say. That means comprehend it too. Don't just blow me off. I'm Chad Tibbles. I'm a 2nd generation person here in the town of Caroline. My wife and I, my wife Penny and I are raising 3 boys, which will be the 3rd generation. That's my son right there. There are families very deeper than mine, 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 generations deep. The Crisco family, which you just spoke from one of them, is a big name in the town of Caroline. They are one of the original settlers in America, the Huguenots. And they could have settled anywhere. And they came right here to the town of Caroline to settle. This is where they settled. They were the founders of this country, the first ones. Let me see where I did that. The Rich family, which was Captain Rich, he had the first establishment in Tompkins County. That's right here in the town of Caroline as well. There's other names, the Whitakers, the Nashes, the Cornells, many generations deep, some well over 200 years, like Mark had mentioned. These people have been here a long time. They all live here. They stayed here. Why? They stayed for generation after generation. They stayed because they could. They weren't forced out by laws, rules, and zoning. There are others that moved here. Tim, I know you bought the old restaurant down here. Mark, you built a house here. And you guys must have liked it. There was something about this. That's why you came here. Not such a bad place, Caroline, New York, if you guys came here. These laws will change all of our freedom. We live here for our freedom. That's why I'm here. I'm raising my kids here for what is here. Let me see. So the few of you on this board want to change all of us. You're this big. We're this big. You got to consider us. Take us in, man. Please, please, please reconsider for our town and our neighbors, your neighbors. I love this town. And it's freedom. Thank you. That's what I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Yep.
So I'm thinking about the meeting process and whether I should switch to the I've never managed a meeting this way, so we've got Zoom attendees and in person, so maybe I'll call on somebody in Zoom land who would like to address the board now. I think,
Zoning has their hand raised.
okay, and then I had a chat from
Rob
Swansboro. Mr. Swansboro, so do you know which is first?
I think the zoning hand for now.
Okay, so I will call on that, no zoning. Please.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, please.
it's Holly McGee. I'm just gonna read the same thing I read yesterday because for whatever reason, Jean McFeeters doesn't want to talk to me about it. So I'll talk to you guys. So, and again, I have several questions, but I'm not only going to ask a couple. This method of asking minimal questions might lead to a straight answer, but I highly doubt it. I will read a quick statement first and then ask my questions. These past few weeks have been a little unclear to me. I am very confused as to who's supposed to be in charge here. I have done a lot of research and everything that I found say that under New York State town law, the consent of the governed is needed before the moral right to use state power is justified. Interestingly enough, the Caroline Town Board's website states the same thing. My confusion doesn't stem from the law, but more from the lack of acknowledgement we as residents have been receiving from the town board. Mark Whitmer and board members, we have sent you emails upon emails to share our concerns in regards to the zoning draft. We've stated numerous times that we don't want it edited. We want it gone. We have put no zoning needed notes in boxes around this town. We are trying like hell to join the Zoom meetings because this is your insisted method of communication. There are hundreds of us in a group called the Caroline Residents Against Zoning. We have no zoning needed signs in our front yards. As residents, we are petitioning against this, and we have been freezing our asses off protesting outside the town hall. I don't know why I need to tell you all of this because you already know. You have seen us protesting. You drive by our yard signs, and I would hope you've read our emails, but at this point seems highly questionable. You, the board, the zoning commission, and whoever else that's involved in this nonsense have been continuing about this like the residents here don't exist. You are treating us as if we were commoners or peasants who have no significant social status. This seems morally and ethically wrong, not just to me, but everyone that lives here. My question to you and the members of the board is, what more evidence do you people need to realize that the majority of Caroline residents do not want zoning? Also, with you fully knowing this, why are you still ignoring us on this topic and continuing to go about it like we don't exist? So please enlighten us with your response on the reasoning behind treating us this way and continuing on with zoning, the zoning draft at this point. We expect a full explanation. I'm done.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
I will offer just a brief response, and that this work is, as I've explained before, that this work is the product of the comprehensive plan work that was done very carefully, and we very deliberately over the past couple of years moved forward with completion of that plan, and moving forward, it was our judgment based on the findings and recommendations of the comprehensive plan that land use regulations were called for, or at least consideration of additional land use regulations were called for, and that we should consider zoning. And so we are doing that.
Called
And
for by who?
So the, and as I mentioned earlier, this is a process, this is ongoing. So what you see out there now is not the product that the zoning commission has hewn and crafted ready for presentation to the public.
That's
So,
right. The product should go in the garbage.
so, but yeah.
Who called for it?
So I'm gonna.
Yeah,
leave it
who
at that.
wanted this? Who? Nobody. We don't care about your stupid comprehensive plan. Get rid of it.
This isn't supposed to be a back and forth.
I don't care.
That is correct. So thank you, Polly. We're gonna need to move on. So-
Yeah, you move on and keep moving on.
Should we go to someone who's in person now and then just go back and forth?
Yeah, I think in person, so, where did the list go?
I'll read the next one. I think Kim was in behind me. Kim, did you have something to say?
Yeah, these young men here.
You got the list.
Sign in, but they think you're interested in speaking. No, I believe we're in. Okay.
List there.
Go, all right, go ahead.
Everybody, Leo Bezenios,
Yeah, gentlemen.
I live over on Penn Baylor.
Same.
So what's really important here, we had a good conversation with Mark this morning, he was gracious enough to see us. It's actually really important, I think, for everyone to note that there is no necessary way in which the town board or the planning commission has to listen to our feedback. There are no teeth to our arguments. The way this thing is structured is totally non-democratic. Mark will say it's representative, and that's right, I disagree. There are practically innumerable objectionable points in the plan. I have 4 pages over here. I know we're really tight on
We
time.
can cite exactly where they're from. They're all throughout the document, contradiction after contradiction, hypocrisy after hypocrisy.
But really what's crucial is that we're experiencing tremendous pressure toward gentrification and we're never gonna get to vote on. It's too late, apparently. This process is rolling and we're shut up. They can listen, they can tell us they're listening, but they don't actually have to do anything about it. And that's egregious, frankly.
There's so many egregious things about this. The people who wrote this went to great lengths to put platitudes in the beginning of the land acknowledgement about what happened to the indigenous people who lived here before the Sullivan expedition
And we're them now.
and the nature of what happened to them. And we have people, we have sentiments, we have forces from outside of this community, renters in Boiseville, bringing attitudes in here, wanting to annihilate the culture, the thing, everything that we love,
Which
to
they-
gentrify this place. And no one who reads this, we can list it point by point, and we can list what the outcomes are going to be, like a mathematical equation. If you do X, Y will result. You cannot call it, saying that this is not gentrification is like arguing about the time of day. And it's insulting to us.
Consulting.
Also, the information, how it was rolled out. Many people are completely blindsided. I'm a community member here. I like to consider myself relatively active. And I didn't find out about this until 5 p.m. yesterday. We read the entire report, myself and my business partner.
Yep.
Overnight. And they were like, we were completely blindsided by this. We feel betrayed.
Pretty much this whole thing is a sham and we need to start from scratch.
And also the nuts and bolts of this, it is incredibly invasive. You like, we can go through it point by point,
Yeah.
but it's almost as if you wish to tell us how to go and conduct our personal hygiene. Some of these rules,
For instance, healthcare clinics would not be allowed in the village or the Slater Brookendale. Hunting clubs would be basically prohibited except for special use permits. Office buildings would not be allowed in hamlets, what's the right word? New retail would have to be subject to special use permit. All of this is supposedly in the name of walkability and node development and totally contradicts that. We really like
Taking services out
Brookendale.
of community.
Brookings Market is cool. It's a nice little town. You can walk around. There's not that much to do, but there never will be anything to do if development is intentionally kept outside of the residential centers.
some of the guiding principles of these documents are about preserving the rural nature of the community, about preserving farms in the community.
And then,
And so many of these principles are just absolutely contradictory to that.
well, I think we've stated our piece.
How about the churches?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, under section 3.1, or section 3.1, the big chart on the zoning draft. It's evident to anyone who looks at it that churches anywhere under any of the zoning regions would have to be subject to site plan and special use authorization, which is an incredibly onerous regulatory burden. I am not a practicing expert in the field, though I did study architecture and planning.
Just logically.
And I think it would be $10,000-$15,000 worth of expert opinion just to get one of these plans off the ground, which is insane. Right.
I mean, yeah, it puts up barriers to working class people getting homes in the community. This is gentrification. You can't say it's not.
Yeah.
And I mean, the religious stuff, I mean, just logically, in the 1600s, people went on rickety wooden boats across an ocean to come here for religious freedom.
Anyways,
And we're fighting against that now.
does anyone feel like we're taking up too much time?
Yes,
No.
Well, that's how we felt the entire time.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're honest about it. You're the first person who's been honest in local government with me so far.
Nothing, that's all.
Hey, Mark, make sure, can I just say one thing for you guys?
I just want to clarify that we have a 3-minute limit for privilege of the floor to permit as many people as possible to present. So thank you very, very much for acknowledging that.
Okay, so this guy's just going up.
Yeah.
Great, so.
Yeah.
I think I should move on, Mark, to the next speaker and
Yeah.
come back in a minute. So, Kim, go ahead.
Turn the barrel.
Pardon me?
Okay, I said, my turn in the barrel.
Yep.
That's an agricultural term. It's been modified back and forth.
Don't go around here.
So, my name's Kim Wetzel. I am a fairly new resident to the town of Caroline. I've only been here living in the town of Caroline, operating my businesses in the town of Caroline for 52 years. It's a great place to raise a family. I come from home farm in the town of Dryden, which is just down the road about 3 miles. And the businesses that I operate, and I've been operating here for a number of years, would be impacted adversely through this 125 pages. I printed it out, 125 pages of your proposed zoning law. Okay. I doubt that there's anybody in the town, yourselves included, the people in our government, that are really familiar with the whole thing of this. I think it's unnecessary. It's come up before in my time that I've lived here in the town, and people have let you know that they don't want it. I don't know exactly what precipitated that. I've asked that question of people that are for it, and they don't seem to have a real answer, solid, yes, straightforward thing. There are a number of businesses in the town, and I think that the town of Caroline ought to take a look at the town of Dryden, who's been very pro-business. There's a good tax base there. A family of whatever the normal size family could live quite nicely on the sales tax, my portion of the sales tax that comes directly to the town of Caroline, which is 3%. So there's the revenue that the businesses, and my business in particular, generate for the town is fairly significant. I don't know what kind of expense the town has incurred to try to put this zoning in, but I would very much like to have somebody, perhaps Mark, you can generate that number and get back to me. I really would like to know. Okay, I have a hand raised. Okay.
Ask me, Kevin, I'll get you the numbers.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
So I'm here tonight because with this COVID thing, it's not been real handy. You can see by the number of people that participate electronically in these things that it's been very advantageous for you, the town, to kind of slide this thing through a little bit.
Yeah.
You really need to think about and give some credence to the fact of the number of people that were here last night. These are residents that came out on a winter night, said, hey, town, you better look this over a little bit. I'm very concerned as a significant landowner in the town of Caroline, significant, hundreds of acres. I'm very concerned that at my age, which this is part of my retirement, when I can retire, okay, that is suddenly just going to be zoned right out of doing whatever. So I would really like to see the town have more public forums where people can come in person instead of this video thing. What might be the most people that have attended these meetings by video on any given meeting? Is it 10 people? Is it 200 people? Is it 5 people? Is it 7? Is it 12?
It was 8 as of
Pardon?
meetings ago. It was 8 people outside of their realm as
Yeah.
of a couple of meetings ago.
So I really think that the town needs to step back from this thing a little bit, get the public involved, and quit turning a blind eye to the people who were here last night.
Thank you, Ken.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're here for a reason. We want to be heard.
Yeah.
Please listen.
I do want to repeat, just reemphasize, you mentioned the plan in the notebook, and it's great that you've studied that, but that is basically the raw document that the zoning commission is now working with. So that is not what they're putting forward.
125
Excuse me.
pages, Mark, plus
Let
all
me-
the maps that are with it.
So then I'll
Can we
just,
go to Jed and the
Okay.
virtual?
No,
Great.
Rob's.
Oh, sorry, Rob.
Rob's been way down.
okay, Rob, please.
Hey, my name is Robert Swansbrough. I've been here half the time that Kim Wetzel has been. I've been here 26 years. I am a code enforcement officer for the city of Ithaca. I understand the zoning. I am not for zoning where I live. I understand that there's only 2 townships left in Tompkins County that does not have zoning. The town of Caroline cannot even enforce the New York State Building Code, let alone zoning. You guys have fired a perfectly good code enforcement officer that was doing his job. The town board did not back him up. We just lost another code enforcement officer. Why did we lose him? Is there something that we don't know about going on in the town of Caroline with the code office? I just do not agree with this coming into the town of Caroline. You don't enforce the code of New York State, which is the law for the whole state. I can go for a ride around with you guys and point out some places that you guys just turn a blind eye on because it's your favor. You favor these businesses and establishments. But yet we have other establishments that you guys are trying to shut down. I just don't understand it. And that's all I have to say. I won't take up any more of your time.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank
Sounds like
you.
Caroline needs more daylight.
And I think Jed, is he next?
Yeah.
Jed, let's see.
Yeah, hi, thank you.
Yeah.
My name is Jed Scheckler. I don't have any comments prepared particularly. I've just started to pay attention to this issue myself. But I thought it was important to be a voice in favor of going through this process. And sitting in on the meeting last night, I appreciate the thoughtfulness with which the zoning commission is taking this, fully understanding that this is a completely draft document, that in no way is this being voted on or set into law right now, and that this is people's opportunity to have impact on what that final document might look like that will only get voted on. It's not that this is going to make the law, it's going to say, if we were to have zoning in this community, this is what it would look like after we've spent a significant amount of time thinking about how that might happen and what it might look like. And I think it's a perfectly acceptable and reasonable thing for the community to go through. I want to speak in favor of going through that process. I have to say, feedback has been solicited for this from where I stand for months now, through multiple mediums, every group I'm a part of online, it's been talked about. There's signs posted all over town soliciting feedback. So it's been on my radar. I just haven't had time to deal with it. Whether the meetings are in person or in virtual, the goal should be to increase access so that the most people can get here in a way that they feel safe, whether that's for COVID or honestly with the behavior of some of the people for other reasons. I know that there are a lot of people in this community who currently don't feel safe speaking up in favor of going through this process. And I want those who speak of making this an inclusive process to think about that, to think if their actions are doing having that impact on people. I agree with what Tim said just before. Enforcement is a big issue. You know, once you put this stuff on the books, you got to be able to enforce it. And so that should be definitely a thought in terms of how, as we go through this. Lastly, just a very quick story. I'm new to Caroline now. I've been on South Hill, just right in this general region for over 20 years. My family's been in New York for over 100 years in upstate New York, farmers primarily. Not very far from here. I have family friends who have been on their family farm for over 40 years, who in an area without zoning, a commercial farm is putting in a multi-million gallon sewage or whatever waste facility for their pig farm right up to their property line. And it basically completely, they can't stay because of the stink. They can't sell it because to anyone except for the commercial farm next door. Those are the kinds of things that we need to think about that are the negatives. You know, your freedom ends at my property line. And what you do on your side has an impact on me. And if we are in this in a community together, we need to look at a way, and maybe it doesn't need to be 125 pages, but maybe there needs to be some ways of giving both sides, both parties, some power to say, this is what works for all of us. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Jed. Time, yep.
Thank you, Jed. Yeah.
There's some erroneous information with the last speaker said.
Are there,
There was a mechanism for
Excuse me.
addressing these issues.
no, sorry, so, are there more,
I don't see anybody.
does anyone else wish to address the board? I don't have anyone on here. You're on there. Oh, you are, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, just say yeah, man.
Okay, so, Pete, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I'm Peter Hoyt. I live in Sladeville. I'm not as eloquent as some of these guys here. I really like what Mark said and what Chad said, and really what everybody said, although I take issue with our last speaker a little bit. But one thought that I had, and it's too late to do anything about it now perhaps, but I think that the consultant, the high-paid consultant that the town hired, really disserved everybody, even the people who might be in favor of zoning. I think she disserved them too. I mean, she started with this huge document, perhaps with the expectation that we take out the stuff we don't want. Why not start with a minimalist thing? And then if people want to add to it, add to it. I mean, talking about, you know, what kind of siding you can put on your house. I mean, that's just plain premature, whatever your feelings are about zoning. Now, you know, you guys know my feelings. I've never changed my mind. I just hate the very idea of zoning. For a lot of the reasons stated here, it's an infringement. It's
Invasive.
I'm proud of my place, and I don't want anybody telling me what to do. But you know, a friend of mine once, we were talking about the various human needs, and everybody says, well, food, clothing, and sex are the three big things people need, but they left one out, and that's autonomy. Think about that. And zoning flies in the face of autonomy. It's an insult. It's anyway, but I don't want to go on with my philosophy, but I get the impression that some of the actions that we've been taking here, some of them are quite vocal, but it is getting people's attention. And perhaps, I think a lot of members on the zoning commission do want to slow down a little bit anyway. And that's really what we're asking, is slow down, give us all a chance to weigh in. When this COVID crap passes, we can have more meetings. And I hear that the governor, as of tomorrow, we're kind of off the hook on some of these regulations. But we want more transparency. I mean, oh, I'm running off. I'm not as eloquent as you other guys are.
The things we're talking about, that's what they do with it. We're trying to ram this down our throats.
Thank you, Pete.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Mark,
Cal has
I have two letters that have been requested to read.
Go ahead, Cal.
This letter is from Rachel Crispell. The farm at 134 Harford Road has been in the Crispell family since 1850.
I'll read it, that's my grandmother's.
Would you prefer?
I'd be happy, sure. The farm at 134 Hartford Road has been in the Crispell family since 1850. Since zoning became common, we have considered ourselves fortunate to be free of the rules and regulations that goes with zoning. It has become impossible to make a living on the farm without, sorry, I'm having a hard time reading cursive, without diversifying. That means we would deal with the zoning regularly, and we don't have that time for that or the patience. We've lived all these years without zoning and feel it would be taking our freedom from us. I was on the planning board when we did the comprehensive plan, thinking that it would be sufficient, and it has been. It seems the town board and zoning commission are determined to have zoning. If most of them are in the houses on lots, it doesn't matter much to them, except to keep Caroline green. We will not have a choice of what we do with our land, except pay the taxes if zoning is made law. Rachel Crispell. If it's okay, could I add a few things that I have written down? It's like I only had 10 minutes to write this and. Thank you. So my name is Hannah Crispell Wiley. I married Brandon Wiley, who owns Extreme Motors, but I'm part of Crispell Farms. My brother and I are the 7th generation on our farm. The unbelievable amount of work in one day to keep this 1,000 acre farm alive is ridiculous, but we keep trying to keep this family's legacy alive. I think it's safe to say we've earned the right to be asked and heard about the laws like these, considering the fact that my family has literally built this prime farmland that you speak of. We count pennies to buy grain, seed, fuel, and etc., while you're down here spending our large amount of hard-earned tax dollars, pushing laws through that will destroy our dreams, make it harder for us than it already is to find new ways to make income. You'll be hearing more from us in the future, but I would like to know maybe why there was no survey to have these zoning laws pushed through before there was even a commission. Just because you can do this, it doesn't mean that you should. You know, a lot of people are really upset, so that's why you're getting so much pushback. This is insulting to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Want me to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So I have another letter. This is from Beth Harrington. I work diligently not to get involved with politics of any nature, especially at the local level, as they seem to be most often a no-win situation for any of our citizens and a necessary evil at best. However, there appears to be a situation going on that to me, both as a taxpayer and a town resident, raise serious concerns. A local business owner, Sherry Conover, is being accused of operating an illegal business and is being threatened with closure. There are many critical concerns with what is happening in our community, and this is but one example. Ms. Conover's business, Muddy Cotton Custom Apparel and Sign Shop, has been operating legally in the town for many years and recently changed the physical location of the business. To the best of my knowledge, simply changing the address of a business does not negate its legality. Although the town supervisor is voicing that this business is illegal, he recently hired that very same business to letter town highway trucks. Thus, it would seem engaging the town itself in illegal practices. The town supervisor has been told by 3 different code officers that there is nothing illegal about this business and there is no basis for closure action. It is my understanding that the town has now hired a fourth code officer just for dealing with this situation. In the town's comprehensive plan, it states the local economy flourishes with locally owned small businesses. Scattered throughout Caroline, the businesses complement the peaceful rural nature of the town. Does the town adhere to its own beliefs and values? Any moratorium issued during this time of zoning commission activities planning does not apply to pre-existing businesses. As a side note, many residences do not know about and or understand what this committee is hoping to accomplish. Any such actions as outlined above necessitates legal involvement, which we all know involves much cash outlay. Along with the cost of code enforcement officer, I, as a taxpayer, vehemently object to such unnecessary costs, both financially and for the inappropriate use of human resources. With respect, I ask that you read this letter into the minutes of the next town board meeting. If I have gotten some misinformation, I welcome being corrected. Simply put, please have the town board cease and desist from harassing local residents and businesses immediately. Beth Arrington.
Thank you. Anything else, Cal?
No, those are just two letters that people asked me to read.
Randall Myrick.
I don't have a letter, I want to do this off the hill, so I'm not sure how much stage fright I get, and I gotta pee. 3-minute limit. On multiple properties here in this town, everything that I've done on my current properties were upgrades to where there was, crappy rundown, broke down vehicles and stuff in the yard. And I was saying, not my house, but like the business on Meadow. And we did nothing but clean up the place and make it a better place. And I continue to, this is when Brooke was here beginning, kept trying to give me stop work orders on stuff saying that I was going over my half-acre limit when it wasn't, because we would go out there and measure it very distinctly to make sure that we weren't, so we wouldn't have to go through all the stuff to do that. He walks out there and tells me one day, well, you can't be doing this, you're going over your limits. I'm like, no, I'm not, I measured it. He goes, well, I can look at it and tell. I'm like, well, that's pretty good. I'm like, I measured it, you can just look at it and tell better. So that got a whole little thing started there. Trees that were leaning over towards the building we cut down. I didn't know I had to have the town's permission to cut a tree down, and I still don't think I have to. Pretty sure that's not in y'all's rules. And the DEC actually came out there because he called him multiple times. Officer Kruger told me if he showed up again and let him know that he would remove Mr. Greenhouse himself. He left. You guys brought in Corey, and Corey was probably one of the best things this town has seen in a while for like actually being fair and being a builder and, doing the things. I bought a piece of property on Meadow, even a little farther down the road. And I got a permit. Mark shows up out there, just kind of, at the time I get to check out, make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. I got a permit to fix an existing driveway that was already there, and to clear a spot of land just to be flat, just to be able to park vehicles and stuff on there. To my fault, my girlfriend at the time was my real estate agent, and she had got, the verbiage of which, because I own multiple LLCs, multiple businesses, multiple farms, multiple things. And she had it in the, had put it in the wrong name. It should have been originally in my personal name, but it got put in my business name. And basically it's supposed to be an annex to a farm that I already had. This is also in Tompkins County. And so I had that changed to represent that it would be for farm activity. I don't have 3 minutes. I can't go into all the details of why that works and why it doesn't work. And
I've been getting pretty loosey-goosey about that anyway.
Well,
they've been pretty loosey-goosey. They've only really been enforcing that when people say things they don't like.
Right, and it's only because of the lady that was kind of right there across the street, like raising Cain about it. But I've done nothing but improve the property. That property sat there and there was nothing but scrub for, I don't know, tons of years. I paid $65,000 for a tiny piece of sliver of property. And now you're telling me I can't do anything with it. According to my attorney, every single thing that I've done and everything that I can do and am allowed to do, that I've done it right. I keep getting letters from you guys, from some guy, I called him, I don't know who he is, I haven't met him yet. So I won't come and talk to him until I come with my attorney. He says basically, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and all of our measurements have been done correctly, we have done what we were supposed to do. We were doing what I was told. I have a permit to do from your office.
Yeah,
I have 3 minutes.
you are, but go ahead and finish up and that'll be fine.
I could talk all day. So yeah, so in my particular situation, like Sherry's, I was told that the guy, that y'all hired to basically headhunt her and myself and to shut our particular thing down. Hers is completely different than mine, has nothing to do with me. Mine particularly is ag, is under ag exemptions, and basically anything that gets pushed forward to me further, I have no other choice but to, file, sue, whatever I have to do. I can afford to do it. I'm willing to do it. That's what y'all want to do with me. I'm ready for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I see John Morse wishes to speak.
Mark.
Oh, yeah, Mark, yeah, so,
I can just, yeah.
okay, Mark Crisell?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted, Kim reminded me of something. So back when we were fighting, the first fight that we had was over the comprehensive. Kim remembers this. And it was either Paul Crisbell or Kim Wetzel. I can't remember which one it was. We were sitting here in a board meeting, doing exactly what we're doing now, a lot more people. And they said verbatim that if we passed the comprehensive law, sooner or later, zoning would be implemented. And the board flatly denied that there would be ever any zoning. So I just want to remind the board about that, even though you guys are not the same actors. They were exactly right in what they said, that if we passed the comprehensive, zoning would soon be in, and that was 20 years ago.
We ought to be able to check records to actually see that hypocrisy in writing.
Yeah. So I just wanted to remind people about that, because this all started, this fight has been going on for a long time. It has been, quiet for 20 years, but it started back when they wanted to put in the comprehensive, and they pushed it through anyways. And they were warned that it was going to be a slippery slope. And that's exactly what we're going, what you're seeing now is a slippery slope.
Okay.
I wanted to remind everybody about that.
Thank you.
I think I'll go on the board then.
Elmore was probably on the board then.
I think he was.
I don't think it was long, but Dollar General in our backyard.
So, sorry, so, this is John Morse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great. John Morse, you're next, and I think.
John Moore.
He's on Zoom.
He's up there in the corner with his hand up.
Hello,
Hi, John.
hi.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, folks. I just a couple things tonight. First, thanks for getting people into the meeting. I think it was definitely time for that, and it looks like we've gotten a good attendance. Wish I could be there, but I don't think you want me coughing on you this evening, so I stayed home. Secondly, I just wanted to reiterate a little bit about what I said last night, because sometimes I think it's heard but not listened to a little bit. And the point I wanted to make last night is I feel like this has been rushed through a lot. And the reason I say that is because I know that Mark and others have mentioned that a lot was done by the town to communicate to people. And I mentioned this in another moment when I spoke, but my experience in dealing with those people over the course of the last month is they didn't know. So even if you had done some things, I'm telling you, word was not out there. And maybe it's our fault, maybe it's your fault, maybe it's both. I don't know. But the town is asking to please take a step back on this. And let's go back to the point where we can bring everybody in a room and listen to the board or whoever's driving this tell us why the town feels that they need to implement zoning in this town. And I know that you've mentioned the comprehensive plan, I get it. And part of Mark's answer a little while ago was that this was the direction or, you know, what the people wanted. Again, I'm saying, who are these people and where did that information come from? And maybe it's something that we need to revisit a little bit. Secondly, you know, what is the level of zoning that the town envisions, you know, through this process? Because that packet of information that Kim Wetzel threw down on the table is hard to read, and he said that. So, you know, when we look back to when the Supreme Court first allowed for zoning, it was to protect from a chemical factory being next to a school. And it's evolved to telling people what they need to put on the siding of their homes. And the document that you currently have in its infant stages is a lot closer to telling people what they need to put on their home than it is keeping the chemical factory away from the school. So I'm asking on behalf of the folks who are not happy with what's going on to bring us all together in an environment where we can have the back and forth conversation that you're saying can't happen tonight. I understand. Without the rest of the board meeting attached, just the meeting to discuss this, and make it multiple meetings if you need to, so that everybody can say their piece, and let the town, not even the zoning commission, let's not talk about details. Let's talk about why the town feels they need zoning. What level do you envision? And can we revisit why we think we need zoning and get those comments out there? And then I also think that we need to do that at a point where everybody can participate, not just if you're vaxxed or unvaxxed or anything else, and 6 foot of distancing, but get a group together. And I understand last night, it was either Bill or maybe Tim in the meeting last night said that we need to respect the folks who don't feel safe right now. And I get that, and I do. And there's certainly people that feel more safe than others based on their own health issues. No worries. All I'm saying is, if that's the situation we are currently in, let's wait. Why are we in a rush? If we need to wait a little bit longer so that we can feel safe and bring the people together and do this right, then let's wait. It's been 210 years. Another month, 6 months, or 2 years is not going to hurt us. That's what I'm asking. I appreciate. Well, again, I appreciate you folks taking the first step to get people in there tonight. I do have a lot of things in the future I would like to say about how the zoning would affect me personally. It would be pretty devastating to the investment we've made, and I can give examples for another time, but thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Hey, Mark,
And
I have half a minute?
I want to just offer a brief response to John, to say I think you made a good point about the question before us is, what do we want this to look like? And so that's the process we're going through now. And at the end of that process, then, there'll be a chance for public evaluation.
If you look at the nuts and bolts, they want to manage home compost.
So, excuse me.
It's true.
I just want to acknowledge that point, John. I do think that's a good point. So thank you.
I think maybe you misunderstood though. Did you as the town board give the vision to the zoning committee, or are they giving the vision to you? Because what I hear you saying now is that they're giving the vision to you and to us to look at, and I'm saying, how did this start? What did you give them for direction? And let's go back and revisit on step one and let the community comment on whether they think that this is even appropriate. And at that point, sure, go forward, let the zoning committee do their thing. But in the meantime, let's just stop until we can have those meetings.
Sure, I heard that. So I just, the vision is articulated in the resolution we adopted, appointing the zoning commission. And so it is, they are not under our supervision. They are an independent body and they are tasked with drafting zoning regulations appropriate for the town. So that's.
Mayor, can I just add though that John, the question that I hear John asking that I agree with is the question of what is the level of zoning? And I agree that that has not yet been determined. So I'm just gonna state that.
I agree too.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that there's some information in the resolution and the process is moving and, I am very glad for all of the feedback so that the process can actually proceed. But I do think it is a fair question that some of us share. I think all of us share that what is the level of zoning? So I just want to express appreciation for that question.
Right.
When might it be voted on by the town board?
So.
Mark, I have just a half minute.
Okay, Pete Hoyt, half a minute.
Okay, I'll go fast. I'm addressing this specifically to the town board with respect. When I was on the town board in 2010, the hot issue in town was the hydrofracking ban. And I remember very specifically, the town board held at least one town board meeting in the, I think it was in the community center, I believe it might have been in the fire hall. And we opened ourselves up and there were, the audience was running about 90-10 against the position that Toby and I and Linda Adams held, which was that we did not want a ban. And the voters certainly corrected us on that a few months later. Fine, well and good. My point is, there's no reason that I see why this town board can't have such a meeting where people from the audience can ask board members questions, specific board members, and expect answers in real time. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to conclude by saying that is part of the process that we'll be going through, that both the zoning commission and the town board. That's, an explicit part of the process to have public hearings and public engagement, so.
Public hearings,
Right.
Excuse me?
plural. Yes, we need to have, we need to have public hearings, more than one or two.
Right.
We need to have, I think, 3 at least.
Anybody got a dictionary?
So,
Whatever. Mr. Myrick, you said something I missed
so
there a minute ago. You had a comment. You had a comment there just. a
Oh,
minute ago.
Cal, excuse me. I'm a little bit concerned that it's 8 o'clock and we have a full board meeting to go. And so I think we've had an hour of comments, which has been extremely helpful, but I would like to ask the board that we proceed to the business meeting that we have to conduct tonight because it's gotten very.
Everybody's had a chance to speak, Cal. I think we should move on.
One sentence.
Back to the business.
I spoke to Mark this morning. Mark gave me his word that if we didn't have enough time for all the comments tonight, we would be given specific time at a later date to continue this. Are you gonna keep your word, Mark?
We offer privilege to the floor at.
Mark, you gave your word.
You gave us your word.
Outlined specifically what you do.
You said we would schedule another meeting.
So everybody spoke tonight, so
Mark,
we'll have,
people wanted to continue speaking, he was cutting it short.
oh no, the rule for tonight is 3
And
minutes
you
per
told us, you
speaker.
promised us, you gave us your word that you would continue it at a later date.
Thank you.
I approve it.
Are you gonna lie now?
I gave you my word and I upheld my word.
You did not. Mark, how dare you?
This is not helping.
This is
This
not.
was a
It's not
wonder-
helping when you lie to people.
This was a
Goodbye.
very good meeting. This is a very good showing. We're moving forward. Let's just,
So I do appreciate everybody's comments.
Thank you, Jeff.
I understand the concern. So.
Okay, good night.
Thank you, board.
Thanks for
Thanks,
listening.
Kevin.
thank you guys for coming. It's really important. Thank you.
But it's very important to us as well, so please consider us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. I didn't take a chance. I do want to say thanks for the help with the process. I do think it's important to have a structured privilege of the floor, so that it doesn't devolve
No, you're right.
into chaos. So thanks very much, and I do appreciate both in Zoom and here at the town hall, people's comments. So.
And I just want to, the people who are on Zoom should know that Mark and Jesse and Cal and everyone in this room is doing as best we all possibly can to manage what we are, what's in front of us. So we apologize that it's, been long, but that is just, we're doing our very best.
Okay, with that, I'll move on to my report. It's actually fairly brief this month. We did do a clean heating and cooling campaign last summer, and thanks to the assistance from our new Clean Energy Communities Coordinator, got that application in, which should qualify us for $5,000 for a project that we still need to define. And I have been speaking with the Stevesville Community Center, and so we haven't worked anything out yet, but we'll see. So that's nice, because I think that's kind of an open-ended thing that we can do. Cal and I reached out to the State Historic Parks Office. They were really helpful, called back, and we had a good conversation. And I relayed that to everybody by email. And my question was about guidance on either siding, re-siding, or painting the town hall. And they strongly recommended
Painting.
Restoring the original wood in some way. She sent me lots of resources on securing lead paint with, I can't remember what it was called, but there's a way to secure it that I think you mentioned earlier. And so I think that's a good move. We should do that. And so Cal and I are sort of attentive to that. I think we should combine this with insulation upgrades to this room, to this building. And so we will probably need an evaluation from a company that can provide us a good plan for that. And then the other thing, and I actually don't know, I'm interested in people's thoughts on this. So the town hall does not have guttering right now, and water is a serious issue. Richard pointed out that he believes the eaves are actually fashioned that have like an Italianate rim. They're actually fashioned to drip water really well, and they do.
Yep.
So I'm of mixed, I need help.
Yeah,
So
we need some help. We need to kick that one out. So, and then, we may need a restoration architect to help with some of the things. It's going to be quite a job removing, and trying to keep using the original siding. So, and then some of it will have to be replaced with new wood. And, we need to be applying for grants. There are a lot of grants available.
Yes,
historic restoration is going to be very expensive.
Yeah, it's well worth it, and I'm anxious to get it done. So
yeah, it's a building I think we want to preserve. And the other route is to go, just ask for it to be removed from the Register of Historic Buildings. I'm not advocating, I'm just throwing out ideas.
If we had to do that?
No, if we don't want to have a historic building, if we wanted to go in and put on new modern siding and.
Oh, yeah. I don't think the board is very excited about that idea, right? What we've talked about before.
I would be quite concerned if we even began discussing whether we would withdraw the historic designation of our town hall, which was done at great labor and for very, very good reasons.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should.
Well, if I may, one of the things you notice, there's 5 windows there. There's 3 windows here. Those 2 center windows, the windows 2 and 4 were added. And if taking all the siding off, doing insulation, to me, from the outside, this is just, to me, from the outside, it looks peculiar. If those windows wanted to be removed so that they balanced, and then also just the whole window profile up through to the eaves. And on this side, the east side, you've got 3 accessory windows for the second floor, not on the first floor.
Oh, my God.
And if you go out and look at it, it's obvious because of the dimensions of the lumber that they were added on at some point. Another consideration, just in, we're working on the exterior of the building, is we've had trouble with the main entrance door we're using is a wood door. There's been expressions of concern with court security, liking to be able to see somebody's coming, a different door or restored door with glass so you can see who's coming. And I think that's just part of the, as long as you're taking off siding, cleaning, trim, repainting everything. There's, just some issues like that. The study that, a little bit of homework I've done, the nature of the peeling of the paint on the exterior suggests that interior moisture problems, and most likely that moisture is coming up through from the basement and then going out through the siding, and it gives you problems with adhesion and the integrity of that paint film. So one of the other things as long as we're painting, we might want to consider doing something about this moisture that it seems is coming up through and then trying to go out, and taking the paint with it so that a new paint job would last longer.
That may have been addressed by the geothermal count, that has control.
That could be, and that may be where we'll need a restoration architect to help us. Did it get alleviated? Will it be alleviated by the geothermal or not? Or is it just because you got a dirt floor down there, you got gravel soils with lots of water, and there's just moisture coming up through, and there's just a natural draft to the building? I don't know. And I can probably get a lot of misinformation reading on the internet. So
That's true.
I think we do need to be casting about for a restoration architect.
You do? Okay.
I mean, not that we need to
Are they in
hire
the yellow
somebody
pages?
a big, but sorry.
Are they in the yellow pages? I don't know where you're going.
No, but there's a neighbor named Susan Holland, who's director of
Oh.
Historic Ithaca, that I've got a call into, that because New York State Parks will not suggest a certified restoration architect, but they said, we know somebody named Susan Holland. And I said, yes, she's my neighbor.
Nice.
So
Okay. Sounds
I
good.
got Jesse on one side, I got Susan Holland on the other.
Those are good neighbors, man.
Yeah, damn right they are.
Okay.
So anyway. So much for just talking about the painting.
Was that the historic
But it's-
capital discussion?
Yep, additional.
And scene.
But it's something we want to get going on this summer.
If we could get an
Yeah.
idea, the grants through New York State for historic building renovations last year opened up in April.
So,
The what?
There were
What is-
grants for historic preservation. And
Yeah.
last year they opened up in April, and they expect them to open up again in April.
Yes.
So
okay.
we could work on that. In April,
Okay.
we are planned for April. But we need to get numbers together and what we want to do.
Yeah, I think it's Kathleen McIsaac is her number. I've got her phone number. And she
Okay.
has mine now.
Okay. Well, this Robin Sedgwick I talked to, she sent me all
Yep,
these links
so-
to grants. We probably got the same information, I
Yep.
guess. But anyway,
Probably, or you get some of it and I get some of it, and we'll make this happen.
so maybe we should have a work plan or a meeting plan or something. Just do this maybe weekly, get together on Fridays or something and,
Not Fridays,
oh, yeah. not-
any
that's
other day
Tuesday.
of the week.
Okay, let's do, okay. let's
But
do that.
anyway.
Jeez.
And then we also, any input, you both live in historic homes. And what your experiences have been would be very valuable.
Yeah, I have a dirt cellar too.
So do I.
Well, historic Ithaca is a
Okay.
resource. I mean, to
So I'll move
utilize.
on.
But they just know things they've dealt with just living in a place.
Yeah.
I'll move on. I'm jumping back into the report, which is not, anyway, the Association of Towns meetings, we'll be doing the resolutions today. And are you registered for that, Cal? Are you gonna go or
I'm not going down.
by Zoom?
Yeah, I'm zooming in.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
great. Super. And then the final thing I'll mention is also with our clean energy coordinator, I've been working on getting our benchmarking information together, which we were way overdue on. So that's going well.
Yeah.
Working with Miss Like to get that in order, and then we'll have that on the website, and we can see how our buildings are doing over time. So,
Yeah.
so that's my report. So I'll go from there. And Jesse, do you have a report?
Just quickly continuing on tax collection, and I believe I met the warrant for the town, so monies will start going to Tompkins County next week. And I just want to thank everyone for the comments that they've been sending in. I've been receiving them, and they are at the town hall on file for the record and available for all board members to view. And just to clarify, I'm not involved in that, so I know some of those comments have been addressed for me, and I am not, I'm on the sidelines, I'm just the recording clerk for it, so thank you to, and continue to send those, copy me on those, and at some point, I do want to get into thinking about perhaps trying to look at different credit card companies for the town. I know that there's a pretty steep fee for paying your taxes online. And I had a few residents talk to me today and say that there are other options out there. So I plan to do some research on that, and anything we can do to find a better rate for people to save some money, then I'll be working on that before next year. That's awesome.
Great, thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Jesse?
No question, just extra special thank you for, I mean, I don't know how aware everyone is of the voluminous nature of the feedback and the input that Jesse's dealing with, so it's truly phenomenal, so thanks.
Yep.
During tax season.
And also tax season. Yep, thank you. Oh, great. So now move on to the highway superintendent's report. Is Bob on meeting?
You thought, yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm here.
Great. Go ahead.
I think mine will be pretty quick. To start out, we're still waiting on some estimates for some roof repair and for some electrical repairs. Those people are scheduled to show up. They just haven't been there yet. Hopefully by next month, we'll have something a little more solid. Second thing, last meeting, I put an invite out for anybody to come down, take a ride. Kale actually came down, went for a ride, enjoyed it enough. He came down and took a second ride. I'd still like to extend that. I know there's been some question, that ties into a new highway barn. And I think some of these questions could actually be answered if you're sitting in that passenger seat. Gives you a different perspective. Right now we're working on some, we're trying to get geared up for some spring work, trying to get a head start on some of that. If you drive down Baylor Road, you'll see some trees have been cut. We started that. We actually got snowed out of that. But we're trying to gear up for some spring jobs that are going to happen. Other than that, we're just, doing our usual winter work. We made it through the last snowstorm with some smaller repairs. We did have a few breakdowns. But the guys got everything back up and running and on the road, and things were taken care of. So I got a few other things, but I think we can tie that into the highway barn discussion.
Great. Okay, thanks, Bob. Is that it?
Hey, Bobby, I just might mention, I want to thank you for the invitation for the ride-alongs. Personally, I'm not yet in a comfortable health situation where I would want to do a ride along in a truck. So I hope you can understand, but perhaps later in the summer, that would be great.
Yeah, that invitation's always open, so.
Thanks. It's a great idea.
I would love to.
Yeah, just give me a shout and we can set it up.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Bob. Let's see, Dan Klein, is he here tonight? I don't think.
I haven't seen them.
No, yeah, so Dan's not here and he gave us a report recently. Any updates from committee members, from council members? Jim? Go ahead.
Yeah, the zoning commission, I think probably everybody at this table is aware, met last night. I thought they did an exceptional job and starting to begin to work through the parameters of this potential draft document. They're meeting again in 2 weeks, which is the 22nd. Last night, they focused pretty much on maps and what are called layovers, primarily an aqua water layover, and then decided not to do a forest layover across the town. And so they're considering all of these options that are in the draft and hearing opinions about them and then moving forward. So I think it went very well. I might mention that unfortunately, the members of the zoning commission have been receiving quite intimidating, sometimes very, very hostile, if not harassing emails. And I think we might have to, I hope we don't have to pay attention to those, but they are becoming to such an extent that that many of the zoning commission members are beginning to feel uncomfortable. And the behavior at last night's meeting, both on Zoom and physically, was quite worrisome to the zoning commission members who were concerned about their ability to function in an open and reasonable way. So I appeal to the public to please contribute your suggestions for the potential zoning plan. The zoning commission is not responsible for deciding whether or not there will be zoning. That will come to the town board at the appropriate time. But in the meantime, the zoning commission is planning to hold a series of consecutive public information sessions about particular parts of the plan, in addition to a public hearing. So there continues to be lots of requests for feedback. And so that's been extremely helpful. So as much detail as the citizens can send in about about even this potential draft, the language, it's extremely helpful. So thanks very much. I might also mention that I think Catherine was on the call last night, and once the agricultural committee gets established, Catherine, there were a couple of potential research tasks that the zoning commission thought that would help out with, but it's probably maybe a month premature for that or so.
Well, I can speak to that now if you want.
Sure.
Yeah, so I was on that meeting. I appreciate it. Was so exciting to hear the ag committee being, solicited and called out in a number of different ways. So that was very, very cool. I would consider it overall very positive. However, I agree, it is a bit premature. And given that we want the process to proceed, so my steps following that were to immediately email our current official ag committee, which consists right now of Don Barber and Andrew Dygert, who have officially kind of been appointed through the process of, messaging Jesse and so on. But in addition, there has been some really good general, less formal, feedback and conversation around ag and land stewards and how to continue these important conversations about zoning, but not only about zoning. And so what I did today, Don and I were in communication last night, and then we are in discussion about what the next steps are really for the committee and what needs to be done like officially with the committee in order to fulfill the wishes of what we heard from the zoning commission. But perhaps there are some things that could be done in terms of assistance and community building and giving feedback without that. I don't want there to be barriers to participation in this process. And so that's my goal. Cal, do you have anything to add to that since you're on that?
No.
So we're trying to have some meetings and see where to go.
Excellent.
Any questions about that?
Well,
And that's great. I mean, I think that what I was hearing last night was just an interest in seeking that kind of deep knowledge. And so as soon as that happens, they'll be appreciative.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the only other, content wise, the only thing to just be aware of is obviously just like the public has a diverse, array of opinion on this. So too, is true for the ag community. And so I think it was a very well-intentioned, offer and suggestion in terms of wanting, ag community to provide input about an overlay district. However, I don't know that that's necessarily gonna, be helpful for the process in terms of moving it forward in your timeline that you want.
And also to Tim, I think part of it is making sure that everyone within the town that's involved in agriculture, wants to be involved in agriculture, knows that something's going on, because too many agricultural entrepreneurs, if I could use that word, are so busy trying to do their farming that, oh, what's the town doing? And then, it's, just so that they get notified. And I've been trying to help Catherine, make up a list of, because you start driving around, you go, well, there's so-and-so's got some cows and so-and-so's got a greenhouse up, and, all of a sudden it's just like, I thought farming was kind of on the decline in the town, and I'm going, no, it's not. A certain type is, it's changing.
So we're just trying in that we're drafting the first quarterly, and we'll put a little thing in there if you want to draft something and send it.
Yeah.
That'd be hard copy to every person's house.
Oh,
So
that's a great idea.
great, and Velvet would welcome that.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
We can do that. But thank you for all the ag shout outs at the zoning commission last night. It was very exciting.
I didn't make them. I just observed.
Yeah, but it was very cool. I was like, oh.
Great. Okay, is that it? Is that it for committee or council member updates? Any other?
There's just one thing that came up about the potential sites for town barn is the Perkins Road site. I think I mentioned it before, but the town had agreed back in 1995 to certain conditions about closing the gravel pit and reclamation. And Jesse has dug out the paperwork from the DEC, has lost it. Bears didn't have access to it. The person that drew up the plan died 6 years ago, and his widow was sure that the plans had been given to the town of Caroline, and Jesse found them.
Sure enough.
So,
yeah, Jesse.
so we need to
Good,
review those and see what we've agreed to, see what's changed, see what needs to be changed, or just, regulations have changed. Well, whatever,
So it needs to be studied is what you're
it
saying.
needs to be studied, and you all need to be updated as when we know.
It sounds like Jean had her hands on that as well, because they mentioned that last night in regards to
I texted her,
something.
I texted or chatted her that Jesse had found that
Oh,
file,
okay.
and I would get her the information, so I don't think she's.
But last night, Catherine, Jean was talking about the ongoing gravel pit. So they weren't talking about the town land, but the ongoing gravel pit.
So
That was,
there's
that was the context of it.
So there are two reclamation plans?
The
for that?
ongoing gravel pit also has a reclamation plan.
Okay.
Correct, that's University
There's
Sand
two.
and Gravel.
Right.
And that plan was from 1980.
Okay, there's two.
And also of interest there was an abandoned cemetery
Really?
Yeah,
in the corner.
yeah, I've seen it.
So
Are the headstones still there?
I don't know, I haven't driven by. You learn something new every day. It's a good day, Tim.
Wow.
Yep,
So,
You got it.
yep.
cool. All right. You good?
Yep.
Great.
There's always something to talk about, but
There is, so that's my job, keep things moving here.
Yes.
So we already did the planning discussion, I think, for the town hall. We'll move forward with that, start, and you mentioned Richard, we'll get together with Richard and we can get your
Yep.
neighborhood historic restoration expert. That sounds pretty exciting.
Yep.
And then, so I guess I'll open the planning discussion for highway barn repairs. Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bob, you want to do the talking or you want me to?
You start and I'll add in if you forget anything.
It just, we need a new roof. I think it would be good if we could insulate at least the roof to keep the heat from just going up. The past doors are, there's probably, what, the bottom 3/4 of an inch to an inch is rusted off, need to be replaced. There's at least 3 of them I see that need to be replaced. Steel fire doors with crash bars. They're about $1,200 a piece. I don't know what installation would be on something like that. I don't know, just some grading around, but I think, the main thing as I observe, is a roof that doesn't leak with some insulation under it. Something and do that with the roof rather than try to do a spray foam. Maybe some spray foam on the sides to seal up cracks around doors and structural work. Because we're spending a lot heating that old barn. It would be nice to do a little sort of moisture control. The place is just dripping wet because the plows come in all covered in snow and just, I don't know, Bob, is there an exhaust fans there or something to get just the moisture out of? That's probably why part of the failures problems we've been having. There's just, again, just.
So, I'd like to go over and look at it. I don't think I've been this time of year, maybe, and seen what that looks like.
Yeah. So, but I think, new roof, insulating it, tightening the building up, insulating it a little bit, but just, and even.
So what would a new roof look like? Isn't it a bunch of layers already?
Then probably, I think there's 3 layers of roof on there now. It would seem to me that should come off. And then like 4 inches of styrofoam with a rubber membrane roof on top of that. But Dwayne Austin of Austin Construction did the last roof. He's trying to make some time to get over there and look at things and give us a recommendation.
Oh, wow.
So he knows
Go over there with him or anything?
if we can coordinate it, but he knows the place, he's worked on it before. And I like the fact that he's a local resident and, somebody that we can,
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
pass the business to. He does good quality work. And he's, the old thing, he said, they're just, we're starting to hear this a lot, just challenges of availability of parts or materials.
Cal, it's my understanding, isn't it, that if the bid comes to a certain threshold, that we will have to bid the job out?
Correct.
That's right, yeah.
So yeah, with Dwayne coming down, the big reason for that is, one, he's already done it. He's done it once. So it'll give us kind of a ballpark of what that number may be.
Yeah, that's great.
But to add with what Cal said, the roof has been repaired completely 3 times. And the roof won't support another roof and a snow load. So therefore we have to strip it, start from the scratch again. The days of just patching the few holes are gone. So I put an invite out, for a truck ride. I would strongly encourage anybody that wants to come down. to take a look at this building, give me a shout, come down. I'll give you a walkthrough. Some of it you'll be pretty surprised. When Kale said there's a 3/4 of an inch gap under the doors, that's on the small side. These doors have been patched with steel. These doors have been patched with rubber. We currently,
I mean, they're rusted out. They're rusted out from all the salt that's around the building.
I mean, these doors, we have to stack some rags up so the water doesn't freeze. So, not that we want to spend a fortune on this old building, but, realistically, this has to last until we decide what the next move is. And, that's not going to be a 1 year or 2 year process. I mean, we could be out a good, I'd like to say 5 years, but we've been talking about this new building for 20. So to say this is going to get stretched out a little bit, I don't think that's too far fetched, but we got to start doing something or we're going to have trucks outside. This place is going to fall down right around us.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Bobby, but we certainly don't want to stretch out the process. So I think we're all pretty dedicated to keeping this project moving. So we'll have to figure out how to balance the needs.
Yep. That's great. Yep, okay, cool. I'll give you a buzz and come over as soon as I can. So, thank you.
Mark, let me know when you're going over and I'll join you.
Oh, okay.
I'd like that.
Okay, great. Sounds good. Anything else on that? So,
I guess.
great, thank you.
My pleasure.
We wanted to have a discussion of meeting process going forward. And as people know, so the governor changed things today. That is the mask mandate for businesses. And I was reading, more general stuff nationwide. So there is a movement kind of in that direction. So I think we do want to be kind of watching the landscape. But then Tompkins County sent out the health advisory today. So Tompkins County is still advising masks. And so I think, I think we should continue with that as far as our meeting policy. I think requiring vaccination is a good policy.
I
Yeah,
am going to disagree.
okay,
I don't disagree that any of the public health guidelines are wise. I am not in any way arguing that. But to be honest, I don't see any path forward in terms of expectations of other people than having this be the last meeting where those guidelines are in place, truly. And I'll tell you why.
including masking.
Correct. And I'll tell you why. I'm wearing an N95. So to be clear, I am not, this is not something that I, for myself, think is wise. But for myself, I am making a decision about what level of protection I am having. And I have a lot of concern about this as a public health concern where I don't want to adversely impact anybody else. And that's why we have had, of course, limitations for what other people's behavior can be. That said, I think the more and more distance we get from what other authorities are telling us, the more and more difficulty we are going to have engaging with our community. And I do not believe at this point that divide is worth, when I look at the risk benefit and the benefit and burdens and like, what is the decisional balance around tearing apart this whole situation over telling other people what to do? I mean, I can hardly believe I'm saying this, right? To be honest, like I am surprised that I am in this place, but I am telling you that I am in this place because what I'm hearing is that this public meeting and the restrictions around the public meeting, very unfortunately, like I hate that we are here, but it is such a distraction that we can't even do our jobs. It is such a distraction that we can't even have feedback around the zoning draft that we want because there's this cloud around what the policy is around in-person meetings. And I dislike that that's the situation, but I dislike a lot of things that are going on right now. I think so long as we have an option for people to be remote, if people are comfortable themselves, or if people are not comfortable being in person, based on whatever their guidelines are, they can be home. And I think as long as that is an option for people, I just don't see how we can reasonably do this anymore. I mean, that's what I have to say.
Catherine, I understand what you're saying, but today the Tompkins County Health Department, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but it did release.
I did see it,
press
Tim. I
release.
did see it.
And its concern is that the COVID levels in the county are still of great concern, and our own county health department is recommending and urging indoor masking. And I would just think that it would behoove our town government to follow their lead. And my hope is that the public will understand that.
Well, we were here with the public with what we determined were strict guidelines. And with all due respect, you are home. And I respect you for being home, but we are here and we have to navigate this in a realistic way. And unless we are going to have policing of exactly whose nose is exposed from a mask, we can't do our jobs as town officials. And I personally am just, I can't justify that level of policing.
Catherine? What I do hear what you're saying. I'm there. Yeah, I do hear what you're saying. I think that if we stay with the vaccination 6 feet apart and the masks, that's going to be seen as a kind of a parallel to zoning and telling people what they have to do with their bodies and their land. And what if we just said wear a mask and had masks when people came in? I mean, I agree. It's going to be very difficult to police. I just want everyone to know, I felt really badly about staying here tonight and not being there. I just want you to know that I'm really torn on it because I don't feel like I'm doing my job because I'm here and not there.
Well, that's not the case.
Well, I do. I'm just telling you, I do. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. Okay. But my point is that what do you think? I do see your point. So what I'm wondering is, what do you think about saying you've got to wear a mask to the meeting?
Sure, fine, that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I mean, I definitely don't think we can or should enforce vaccination at this point, but I'm just telling you the reality of the situation. And I mean, I am not going to be the mask police while I'm trying to do my job.
And tonight I'm standing by the door. Do you have a mask? Shut up, I got something to say. I'm just gonna go sit down.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna, the first speaker, I'm not gonna take him on.
yeah, you were not present for what was directed, personally, directly, at.
Or that's okay. We're just gonna sit down here in the back corner. And I mean, I think if we're gonna enforce it, you're gonna have some sort of sheriff's deputy or something here that, okay. And then that's gonna just pour gas on
Yeah.
the whole thing.
And please know that I'm not, I mean, I consider everyone's Zoom participation to be equivalent. Like, we have to consider that or else this doesn't work. Like, everyone's making a choice. People are on Zoom, people are here. There are gonna be times when some of us will be here and then some of us might not be here based on other things. And like, this is an awesome technological, advance that we can increase access for people. I mean, I think the conversation that really hasn't been had enough is like,
exactly,
the in-person, we talk about what people need. They need a mask, they need a vaccination, they need all these things. Well, you know what you need to come here? You need a car. And you need to not have childcare responsibilities at 7 o'clock at night at your house. And you need to have, a job that you're lucky enough to be able to like actually be here in person, where maybe someone could be in an office on Zoom. I mean, so don't even get me started, like on a number of different ways in which we have increased access with
Absolutely.
technology, so let's do both. Let's do both, but I guess I'm gonna stop speaking. That's what I have to say about that.
I mean, I feel like, yeah, so I feel like asking people to mask is such a minimal and courteous thing, an expectation for all of us, and I'm concerned that, then, if we lessen the safety here, then people are less likely to attend in person. I'm comfortable, but
Jesse has her hand
I'm
up.
sorry, I just,
No, you're not.
I don't mean to interrupt, I just wanted to add then, why were people in here on mask tonight and nobody stopped?
Right.
That
Because it was intimidating and
nobody
because
stopped
I
it,
wasn't
so
willing.
what difference
Yes.
does it make?
yeah. Well, I think we could just ask, we could ask people, we could say that we would like you to mask.
But we had a live experiment of this, and
Right.
we were, I was unable to do it.
Yeah.
And I can't tell anyone on Zoom or in this room that I will be able to do it when I am being, like, it's not as easy as it sounds.
It
It's,
doesn't sound easy.
I think it was a very difficult evening. And I don't think I'm hoping all meetings aren't going to be like this, that for people coming, and that the emotions aren't going to be running as high. Do we have a sign? Is there a sign there saying, please mask? Please protect, your neighbor, please mask, or something like that?
I think there is one on the outer door.
Maybe we need one on the inner door and a box of masks.
Yeah, it would have made it.
And I mean, masking is obviously more agreeable, I think, to most people, I mean, we could start with, let's not worry about the vaccination and move on, and at request masking and then do our best, but.
Yeah,
I wanna know what responsibilities are in this building if you ask that and someone refuses,
Right.
then what's the expectation of?
Right.
I'm certainly not going to get involved in any way in telling people to leave if they're not.
If they're not gonna cooperate, you're not gonna.
Well, which I brought up, I mean, I will say, I last night when I was losing sleep over this, composed an email, I'm coming up with scenario, I couldn't sleep, I'm coming up with scenarios of like, well, what do we do? And how, and if and when do we need law enforcement? And like, so someone says they don't want to put on a mask, and then we ask them nicely, and then they're not nice, and then we're not nice, like, I am not. Then we need to have the sheriff here at every meeting to do this, because I am not doing it.
Tim?
You're muted, Mark. Tim.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just going to say that at the very least, I think we should strongly recommend masking to anyone who comes into town buildings, with the understanding that this has been recommended by the Tompkins County Health Department.
Sure. That was sort of my suggestion.
But I am also concerned. I mean, I do think that we still need to be concerned about the comfort of citizens who would like to attend the town board in person and feels intimidated either by health or by the environment not to come. But I think if at the very least, we should highly recommend and encourage mask wearing.
Yeah, I agree.
And then to Jesse's very valid question, then are we, the enforcement is?
No, I mean, it would be, it'd be their discretion is my.
Oh, okay.
And so we would recommend it and,
Okay.
it's their choice.
Are these policies for town board meetings also the same for the town hall?
Well, I don't see why it would be a problem to recommend wearing masks.
No problem, just for
clarify.
so people are.
As opposed to requirements, Jesse, as opposed to requirements.
That's right.
Right, because currently we are requiring, and people are very cooperative about it. We are requiring masking in the town hall. And so Jesse's asking if we want to make a policy change there.
I just think it should be consistent with what we're expecting of the.
I would say, I would say we require it in both places, and people who don't mask are just not meeting the requirement. I would just use the word require until the time, until the county feels that the risk is lower. People will ignore it. The people who don't want to wear masks will ignore the requirement. And you don't have to do anything if they don't do it.
And we haven't helped do anything to improve the safety of vulnerable, anyway, I've already said enough. Oh, I've said my piece. Like, I hear you that from a optics perspective, like there needs, or you're suggesting that we have something on the book, so to speak, about that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's call it, you know, what it speak.
Yeah, we
Jesse,
adopt-
you're behind a glass screen, right? In the town hall.
Yep.
Well, that's something.
On Mr. Kruppa's email, it said the level of transmission for Tompkins County was high and that he would reconsider if it dropped below 50. Right now it's 400. Do we kind of want to use that as a benchmark? If it drops to below 50 in 2 weeks, is it okay? No masking either.
I guess we would watch the health department.
Yeah.
For that.
Yeah.
And the wording in the health department, it's a mask advisory, I believe is the language.
Yes.
It's a, yeah.
So I think that. Okay, so are we coming to a decision that our policy will be for at meetings and for access to the town hall, that we quote unquote require masking and let people go? Or do we want to say we strongly advise?
I think the language should be the same as from the health department.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Just say we're following the health department.
Yeah.
I could see that.
A mask advisory to stop the spread remains in effect.
And it,
Well, let's use those words.
Those local mask advisory to stop the spread of COVID-19 remains in effect. Tompkins County Health Department continues to urge mask wearing for all individuals while indoors and around others, as well as other precautions.
so their language is urge, whatever, so we
urge.
can use the same language.
I mean, they might even, they have posters. I mean, they probably have some sort of signage and,
Yeah,
you know, public, like,
I'm sure they have a sign.
materials. Let's just
Okay,
post them.
so that's where we'll go. We'll say that we advise. I think.
I like the way the health department talked about the responsibility to others. It's for protection of others.
Are you good with this? This seem like a good policy for the town hall?
I think so.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Shall we move on from discussion of COVID policies? I think we.
Okay.
Do we, yeah,
Plenty.
we could, you know, we could formalize it with a resolution or not. We have it in the minutes that Jesse's been taken. I think that's probably good
I think
enough,
it's
right?
enough, yeah.
Okay. So discussion of ARPA funds, I had intended to do some homework, but I just was not able to. So I haven't done any homework in this regard. Tim?
Mark, can you just remind us of the deadlines that we face? The deadlines?
The
I
deadline,
remember there was an early deadline to articulate a plan.
I can't do that right now, Tim. I don't think it's imminent, but I will find that out.
Yeah, that's just something that I mean, I wanted this on the agenda just so it would be on our mind.
Yeah.
What is ARPA? Sorry.
Oh, the American Recovery Act. recovery plan.
Oh, okay, got it. Yeah,
For which, Kate, we were allocated roughly $300,000,
oh, great, okay.
but how we can use it is extremely limited.
Yep, and it's relevant to your broadband committee work because one of the areas singled out is broadband, and I think that's where
Yeah,
my feeling has been that would be an ideal direction to go with the money.
Okay.
So
I'm touching base with Ray, and I wrote Irene today to try to get in touch with her. And-
okay,
and, so I can get up to some kind of speed on this, so learn about it.
great,
Okay,
great. So I'm gonna start that one.
You'd think this would be like an easy thing to Google, but I can't find
I
it.
know there was a recent, it was a legislation at lunch webinar by Association of Towns Attorney on update on that. So I'm gonna try to find that and view it.
Yeah, as long as we keep in mind the target date, give ourselves a few months to really have thorough discussions about this, we'll be fine.
It looks like
great.
April 30th for cities under 50,000 in population. That
April
sounds-
30th?
That's
That's
pretty
coming
quick.
up.
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah,
I have a supervisor's call on Monday, so I'll
I'm
get
hoping that's not right, but that's.
the updated.
I think it might be.
It could get updated, or we could ask for an extension or something.
Nope,
Nope.
it doesn't work that way.
Not a problem.
Was it originally October 31? Tim, does that sound familiar?
No, I remember a spring date. I mean, in the back of my mind, I had a spring date. So I think probably this is what they said initially.
Okay,
Okay.
but I also remember, I think a discussion with Joel Gagnon that something had been changed, so.
That could be. And I also remember that there are two levels. So you only have to put in a plan, say for the first 50% of the funds. And then at a later date, you can articulate the rest or something like that.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
all
I'll
right.
definitely. I'll let you know sooner rather than later what I find out, or any of us can do that, of course, so, yep, great. Oh, is that good for the ARPA discussion? Great, so let's move on to do the discussion and vote on the 2022 legislative program for the Association of Towns. So as per tradition, the first one is the resolution number 1 and I'm not going to read these things in case you're getting worried, to preserve and support home rule. And also the way we usually do these is we do them round robin. So I'll do the first one and then I'll pass it off to Catherine and so on. So the resolved is the Association of Towns calls upon the governor and the legislature to preserve and strengthen home rule, and further be it resolved that the Association of Towns will oppose any state or federal initiative that would weaken or eliminate New York's longstanding tradition of home rule and local government authority. So that's the first one. And is there any discussion about that? I guess.
All for it.
You're for it? You don't see any downsides?
A hearty endorsement.
So, okay, I'm not gonna call for a vote one by one. I'll see if we can do it on a consent agenda at the end.
Yep.
So,
Are we reading around?
yeah, you go for the next one, yeah. Yeah, I'll pass it.
I don't have it memorized. I feel like I'm at a Seder. Sorry.
Yeah, it's double-sided, so it's,
Where
I
is
think,
the-
I think just open the, is it there? Back to.
You're just reading each resolve.
I just read the resolves,
Resolution number 2.
Yep.
Whereas.
Is it messed up?
Whereas. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor, the legislature, and the Department of Transportation to develop a new long-term New York State DOT capital plan that addresses and fully supports local transportation systems, including local roads, bridges, and culverts. And be it further resolved that Association of Towns calls on the governor and the legislature to maintain, support and increase funding for CHIPS, Pave New York, Bridge New York, Extreme Winter Recovery, and other transportation funding in the 2022-2023 state budget, and to provide stable and sustainable long-term funding for local infrastructure.
How can you not be for that?
I agree with Cal. Anybody grumpy about that resolution?
Not liking.
Bobby, if you're there, would you have any reason to not be for this?
No, I'm 100% for this.
I thought so.
It would be like not liking puppies if you were against it.
Great. Next one.
Okay, resolution number 3, the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the state legislature to continue.
Are you in the whereases?
To continue supporting broadband and cellular access and deployment through additional funding, legislative initiatives, and programs while preserving local government's authority over municipal infrastructure, citing decisions, fees, and the time it takes to review applications, as well as the ability to tax telecommunications infrastructure as real property. So. Seems like, again, a no-brainer.
Yeah, did you get all the resolves there, Cal?
Yep.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees that's probably a no-brainer, right? I see affirmative nods, so great. Kate and Tim, do you have the resolutions before you, or do you want us to handle it here?
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
So resolution, sorry, I have it up, but I don't see the number.
It should be number 4.
Okay, resolution number 4, resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and legislature to restore AIM to a state-funded revenue sharing program. And the context of this is it's been diminished. I believe it's to 90% of a county tax funded program. So that's the issue. Resolved that the Association of Towns also calls on the governor and legislature to increase AIM appropriations funded by the state. So basically for AIM to be funded by the state and to increase the funding.
Yeah.
That sounds great to me.
Yeah. All of these resolutions for more money sound good to me.
Yeah.
Kate, do you want to do number 5?
I'm getting there. Hold on.
And the Lord taketh away.
Where does it start? Sorry. Resolution number 5. Okay, the whole thing?
No,
Okay.
not the whole thing, just cut to the resolve it.
Resolve it.
Yeah.
Ooh, fancy.
That the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the legislature to pass legislation that amends applicable state laws to allow local governments to deposit public funds in credit unions and savings banks.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yes, as long as they're FDIC insured.
Yep.
As long as it's insured institution.
I don't think it would be allowed otherwise, so.
I don't either, but it doesn't say it.
There was something about that, Cal, that I saw at the beginning.
Okay.
It said something like in part of the whereases. There was something I noticed.
Okay.
Great, I think that sounds good. Can I grab that back, Cal?
You bet.
Oh, yeah, we need.
There's number 6 right there.
Okay, thank
Well,
you.
you got to turn page to get there.
Okay, so this.
Yeah, it talks about them having to be insured.
Okay.
So by a federal agency that's comparable to what banks have.
Great, so I'm going to move on to number 6. Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and legislature to create a dedicated funding program for future and existing municipal water and sewer infrastructure, using a fair and equitable formula to distribute funds annually to municipalities, which I guess means we'll get zero, but anyway. I don't see a reason to oppose this one.
Or should we just pass on it because it doesn't affect it?
Resolution number 7.
Should we're gonna go A then, or just abstain?
What's that? For the,
If it doesn't affect us, do we just abstain or do we?
I think we could vote on it as, you know, if we.
I would want to vote on it to support other towns.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
Okay, number 7, resolve that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the legislature to pass legislation that amends applicable state laws to allow local governments to deposit public funds in credit unions and savings banks.
There we go. That's what it was.
There we go.
Yep. Didn't I read that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
it's kind of a repeat of number 5.
Okay.
It seems like.
number 8, that was number 7. You pointed at the bottom, that's not, but
Did I do the wrong
we're
one?
on
You
8.
should, you should be number 7.
That was 7.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think these pages are.
or messed up.
No, the way you count, 1, 3, 2, 4.
Mine resolution 7 is about setting speed limits on.
Yeah,
local
mine is too.
Yeah, that's the one I saw too. I was expecting speed limits.
Okay, well, look at it. So resolve the Association of Towns calls on the legislature and governor to amend vehicle and traffic law. Do you have this one? 1662.
Yeah.
A, so that all towns have the authority to set speed limits by a local law, it's important, on town roads within their jurisdictions, within the limits outlined in the statute, and be it further resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the legislature and governor to amend vehicle and traffic laws that towns are allowed to reduce speed limits below the current limitation of 25 miles per hour to 20 miles an hour.
Can we vote on that one twice?
Right, I mean, you may want to separate them,
No.
or, oh, okay. Sure.
So it's.
Bob, do you have any ideas on that one?
It's calling on, it's asking for towns to give the authority to lower speed limits, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you don't have to have a DOT study come in and,
Yeah,
or is it nice that a third party comes in and is maybe a little more objective versus,
We had a DOT study down here in the hamlet, and they came on a Thursday afternoon when it was sleeting and said that they saw no pedestrians, so they would not lower the speed limit.
and
That's
then
an outside.
either, and so no reason for it. Yeah,
Right.
Well, but this also
I'd much
lowers,
rather have it local.
yeah,
so the question is, do we want to support?
would be more local.
more
Yes.
local?
Yes.
It's like home rule, right?
Home rule, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't know if Bob was, if he had any, would like to, he's the highway superintendent. Bob, you there?
Yep, I'm here. So I haven't actually read that to give you a definite answer. But it sounds like it just makes it a little more local, as you said. Which I don't see any problem with that.
Well, it might slow your trucks down sometimes going places.
Well, depending on what you set the speed limit at.
Or, you know,
Sometimes you gotta be careful what you wish for too. This could create a whole nother jar of worms. Sometimes it is nice having that outside party. But there's also times where it would be nice to do a few little smaller, sections, so to say, and not have to go through all of that. But the way, I don't see any problem with the way it reads.
Could we do something like, if Bob wants to sleep on it and we just go with his recommendation, A or nay?
No? Because even if
No?
you said nay, I'd say yay. Didn't the town just get a petition from a whole bunch of citizens last year about concern about the speed on Landon Road and Lounsbury where people are walking.
Yeah.
And we can't do anything about it. We have to wait for the DOT to come down and tell us that, oh, there were no pedestrians on the day we were down there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would like the town and the people who live in the town, who know the roads and know who uses the roads and there's tractors on it or horses or people or not, to be able to have some say on them.
Yeah, and that would include the highway superintendent.
I would love to have the highway superintendent's input on that, but I don't think he should be able to say, I don't know, do we just put this off till next?
Yeah.
I mean, Bobby, I'd love to hear your input, but I'm just, if we're gonna put this off and not get back to it or not support it, I'm frustrated with that. Truthfully.
Like I said, I don't have it in front of me to actually say I've read through the whole thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
in order for me to give you an answer, I wouldn't do so without reading through it.
Mhm.
And when I said this opens a can of worms, just remember, just because you change this one speed limit in one spot, doesn't mean you won't be changing them in 50 other spots.
Mhm.
We can change every speed limit in town to 25, but I don't know if you realize the financial burden that would actually cost us
Well.
in order to do so and to do it legally.
Right. We don't have speed limits on most town roads, right? So, anyway, I'm just saying that I think it should be local.
There's a speed limit on every road. They're default speed limits.
Correct.
So this, amending the lowest allowable that is currently 25 to 20.
It's just that our biggest problem with speed is enforcement,
Right.
but
Right.
still.
Anyway, I think we should move on from this.
Yes, yeah, we need to,
That's waiting
yeah.
for us, so.
And I don't want to, I think we should support it.
Yeah. I need to.
No,
So 8. 8.
I mean, it seems like,
Do you want me to do 2? You want to do 1?
I don't care. I'll do it.
I did correctly put.
Right, so I can read it. This is number 8. right here.
Yes.
Resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the legislature to adopt tax cap reforms to remedy the inequities in the formula, including imposing a true 2% cap, removing infrastructure project costs from the calculation, allowing growth from pilot and tax exempt properties to be included in the tax cap calculation, removing barriers to shared services that would save taxpayer dollars, and removing special improvement district costs from tax cap calculations.
You didn't say to allow pilots to be in the formula? Because it already does that.
Allowing growth from the pilot. And yeah, I mean, some of this is just like, well, what is all this? What is this? Well, what does all this mean?
Yeah, and what if it's an old resolution? Because you update the pilot every year.
Yeah.
But I'm all in favor of making it fair. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems reasonable.
Great, okay. So unless there's an objection, I'll offer a motion to, I think we voted yay on all 9 of the, or did we do 9? We did.
We haven't done 9 yet.
Yeah.
Catherine's gonna read that, or you're gonna read it?
I'll do it unless you want to do it.
Tim's up technically, but
Oh, Tim's up, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
it really is like my family saver. I'm not kidding.
9 is, I didn't see that one. Proposed resolutions for consideration by the delegates. No, what is, that's page 9.
See, I think you made me feel better. This is not
So
actually.
then there's the property tax cap. I think we're done, guys.
I thought that was the last one.
Yeah, that was the last one.
No, number 9 is on page 12.
Oh, I see it.
Where's page 12? Oh, way down, huh? Okay, hold on a minute.
After page 11. Sorry.
Your local government is safe in our hands. I promise you, the public.
Is the one on open meetings?
Turn that recording off.
Yes. Okay. So resolved that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and the legislature to amend open meeting law to permanently give public bodies the option to meet remotely and suspend in-person attendance at meetings, and be it further that the Association of Towns calls on the governor and legislature to eliminate any requirement that remote meetings be transcribed, as the effort is duplicative, given the need to take minutes and the ability to record remote meetings.
Aye.
Wholeheartedly, yes.
Double
Yes.
vote.
Yes, so, great. So now I'll offer a resolution to approve all 9 for Cal, for the representative to vote yes on all 9 of the legislative resolutions of the Association of Towns. Have a second? Second by Catherine, and Kate just missed out. Any further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. I will now offer a motion, well, I won't, thanks, Cal. Is there any feedback for Jesse on the minutes?
I haven't submitted them yet.
Oh, right, okay, never mind.
Probably tomorrow.
That's fine. So we'll push that forward. The minutes are forthcoming. And resolution to approve, I'll offer a resolution to pay the vouchers for payment of bills in the amounts of the A fund, 29,161.04, plus the credit card and bill that is still needs a voucher. And then the DA fund, 56,503.87. And the streetlight fund, $614.77. And the reason for the voucher holdup is we're waiting for the bill for the credit card, so. Do I have a second on that, to pay the bills?
I'll second it.
Second by Cal, sorry, Kate.
I have a question. Why did the new town hall electric bill go from $170 to $1,024 in 1 month?
I can't answer that in the right here. I'd have to go study it.
Gail,
Yikes.
Yes.
so I learned today that that is a townwide problem. So everybody received electric bills that have more than doubled, tripled. The answers that everybody got was
Are they
Yeah.
estimated bills or red bills?
they had estimated them too low for a period of time.
Oh.
And they just finally caught up on catching everybody's bill. So that's the explanation I got.
Bravo.
Okay.
So everybody gets creamed.
That's horrible.
It's a normal
Yeah.
process, so
Okay.
It's a normal process.
it is, because they do that estimated thing, so that,
I know.
great. So any other questions about the
No, it was
bills?
just that one.
That
Okay.
is not good.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And great. Any other items before we move on? So I'll offer a motion to move into executive session to discuss potential legal matters.
Yep.
Seconded by Cal, is that correct? Okay, and all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None? And okay. So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight for the meeting. Much appreciated. And we'll see you next month.
Those are two of the people that's on that list. Jason Rhodes is